Hey there, this is Pat Ennis of Ennis Legacy Partners. Welcome to the Exit Readiness podcast. I'm here with co-host Walter Dial, CPA and tax partner at GRF CPAs and Advisors in Bethesda, Maryland. Our mission here on the podcast is to provide you, the business owner, with subject matter expertise on topics pertaining to building sellable or transferable business value and then planning for your eventual exit from the business. If you've listened to us at any point in the past, you've heard us mention the certainty that all business owners will stop being business owners at some point. And so there's no better time to begin planning for the inevitable than the present. The earlier you start planning, the more options you're going to have for a successful exit. However, like any strategic plan, it can be tough to know where to start, where to begin. So it's become our annual practice at this point, at this time of year, to publish an episode that will help you know how to get started in the new year, planning your exit. So our topic today is an exit planning checklist for 2023. The checklist has three categories: decide where you want to go, goals, objectives, and this is financial goals, values-based goals, legacy goals. Decide where you want to head. Number two, assess where you are in relation to where you want to go. And then thirdly, design and then implement and execute a plan. So let's just jump right in. Walter, let's have you address category number one. How about decide where you want to go? Kick us off with some ideas about that.
Yeah, I mean, I always, kind of come back to the three basic questions. When do you want to leave? Who do you want to transfer to? And how much money do you need? Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a clue on any of those, or if you don't have a clue on, one or two out of the three, that's where you can, start looking. I would say. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting, Pat, because those three questions, they go back to John Brown, and I don't know when he wrote his famous book, probably 30, maybe not, well, a long time ago. But one thing I think that's kind of become kind of new as far as a focal point, although it's always been incredibly important, is the whole, what are you going to do with your life after you sell? Mm-hmm. And you're really good at walking clients through that and really good at helping them think about that, because we've seen it ourselves, and all the studies show it, that 75% of people who sell their businesses are unhappy within 3 years, and it usually has nothing to do with finances. It's because they didn't figure out what the next stage of their life is going to look like, and they're just ill-equipped for it.
Yeah, we can't stress this enough. I mean, it's so critical. I think it's 2 years, actually. 75% in 2 years are miserable or not happy with an exiting. And again, it's because, and we've heard stories where the exit was actually very successful from a financial perspective. I heard of one story in particular where the owner walked away with $40 million, but then told his friend who also owned a business, never sell your business, I'm miserable. I mean, that's an extreme situation. But if you don't think through replacing the significance and meaning and purpose to life that you had as a business owner, once you leave, you could end up being another statistic. I think you would agree with this, Walter. One of the important things that we do is to help owners understand and actually see the impact that they've had as business owners, or as long as they've been a business owner. They've impacted their family, of course, their employees, their customers, suppliers, vendors, local community. Oftentimes they're charitable, even the national economy. And that's a lot of meaning to life, if you will. impacting all those constituents in a positive way. So if you don't replace that meaning to life piece, and it takes work, you usually need some help to work through that. So yes, thanks for mentioning that. Clearly, I'm kind of a little bit passionate about it because we have seen those statistics come to fruition. Yeah, anything else on that piece about the where do we start? Yeah,
No, but
so yeah, go
can I
ahead.
just say one thing about what you just said? Because I thought back to a real client who you worked with, and one of the really cool things was that they had never really discussed the plans with their spouse,
Right.
and you helped them walk through that, and it was like a life-changing event, which I thought was really cool, and it makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's that. Thanks for bringing that up because I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Yeah, boy, we always encourage the business owner, to get their spouse involved with these discussions because, boy, it very much impacts them in a direct way. And oh, how many times have I heard this, and you too? I had no idea, from one spouse to another. I had no idea you felt that way.
Right.
Or I had no idea that's what you wanted to do. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important
Yeah.
to get the spouse, because this business oftentimes is the largest asset. Um, and so it's central to their financial well-being and security and future and all like that. And it impacts the spouse that way, and even more so, or as much, if the owner is unavailable suddenly, either because of death
Yeah.
or permanent incapacity. So yeah, get the spouse involved.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I'd follow up with would be, as you come to the two things with the holiday season. One is your chances are, you're going to see maybe your kids and, other family members. And number two, it's just kind of natural. Everybody starts like planning for the future, at least maybe for the coming year. So, it may or may not be, you might not want to screw your holidays up by bringing up your business transition, but on the other hand, it may be a great opportunity. The other thing, the other group you want to talk to, and it's kind of, these things are funny, but they're sad in a sense. But, the other situation Pat and I have seen oftentimes is you'll meet with a business owner and you'll say, so, what's your plan for transitioning? And he's like, well, I'd like to transfer to my key employees. I got some great people, all this stuff. And then we're like, okay, have you discussed it with them? Are you sure they're interested in becoming business owners? And the answer is no. So, if you're down the road where you're thinking you're getting out in a year or two, and your plan is to transition to people who have no idea you're even thinking about that, you could be in trouble. So that's another group that, if you're going to put on your to-do list, start having conversations about succession planning, they need to be on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah, not just the key employees, but the kids. We've seen that, right, where the parents have just
Yeah.
kind of assumed at times that the kids are going to take over the business when time comes. The kids want to have nothing to do with the business, and we're seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
Where the kids, they often just don't want. I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's the kids don't want to be in the business or own the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, another good point. All right. Yeah. Okay. Assessing where you are, get in, and really, this is, I'll tackle this or get us going. This is where you and Corby do a lot of work in first estimating the value of the business. If the business is the largest asset, or even if it isn't, shouldn't you know what it's really worth to potential buyers? We like to say meaningful planning requires accurate data, and any meaningful exit plan is going to require an accurate estimate of business value. And so, boy, start there, because the value of the business is central, really, to how you're going to exit, uh, and how many different options you'll have for exit. So that's one thing you're going to want to do. Would you, since this is what you and Corby do, Walter, would you say anything about that piece?
Well, number one, I agree with you. It's very important for the reasons you mentioned. And also, one of the, I think probably the biggest benefit to the business owner of the estimate of value is we identified the strengths and weaknesses of your business. So it's a great way to kind of map out your game plan of what you need to work on within your business to make it basically more valuable, more fun to run. So I think sometimes people, they can overlook that factor and they think, well, I kind of have an idea what it's worth, so I don't need to get that done. So I think that's an important thing. And then the other thing is, as you're implementing changes to improve the value of your business, it's nice to have a baseline, know the baseline you're starting from, so you can see if you're actually getting results or not.
Yep. And then too, it's important to take that number, whatever it is, and take it to your financial advisor and say, okay, I need you to do a financial needs analysis on how much everything that I want to do after I leave is going to cost me. If that's going to be retirement, if that's going to be refirement in some way, or whatever you want to do next, it's going to cost money. So you need your financial advisor to crunch the numbers and do a Monte Carlo analysis and whatever they do to help you know the number you're going to need. And then when you have a real accurate number as to what fair market value for your company would be, you can know if there's a gap. So if the financial advisor says you need 5 million and the business is worth 2, then you know you have a financial gap of 3. So again, it's exposing reality and with accurate data, which can result in a meaningful strategic plan to plan your exit. Okay, so estimate of value with a financial gap analysis, that would require, the professionals required there would be a valuation specialist like Walter here, and your wealth manager or financial advisor. Okay. And Walter mentioned this next piece too. Assess your business value drivers and area of risk. That's done to a degree with the estimate of value, but you can go deeper. You can do deeper analysis on that. And we recommend it. We can do that for you if you need us to help you. Love to help you if you need that help. Then review your business continuity plan for life transitions and unexpected death or disability, to include written instructions, what we call business continuity instructions. And then co-owners, if you're a co-owner of a business, you should include a review of your buy-sell agreement to ensure alignment with the current goals of all the owners. And the areas to focus on in reviewing your business continuity plan are going to be transfer of ownership. So if I'm a sole owner, if I die, how is my ownership of the business going to be transferred? That's handled through your estate planning documents. So a professional needed here would be your estate planning attorney. The next couple of issues would be, how dependent is the business on you financially? Is the business still dependent on your personal financial statements, personal financial guarantees? So if something happens to you, what are the solutions for that piece? 3, if something happens to me, and I need the business to continue for whatever period of time to benefit my family, what's going to keep the key employees there? Usually it's something like a stay bonus, but that's the third issue. And then customers, how are we going to make sure that customers don't start leaving if something happens to me suddenly and unexpectedly? So business continuity plan, that would be another one to assess. And along those lines, your estate plan. You can't do exit planning without doing estate planning. And if you're a business owner, you can't do estate planning without doing exit planning. So those are the things. Walter, anything else you would add to the assessing where you are piece? Oh, what about tax planning? Yeah. You want to mention something about that?
I was gonna kind of along those lines is just, remind everybody, if your financial guy tells you you need 2 million and your business is worth 2 million, when you sell it, you're not walking away with 2 million.
Right.
You're walking away with more than half of that, but maybe as if you're lucky, maybe as much as 70% of that. And then the other thing when it comes to taxes is, depending on what type of entity you are, there are advantages and disadvantages of each type. So that's something you should talk to with your tax guy. If it looks like some type of transaction is within the next 5 years, is kind of a important point, because if you're currently a C Corp and want to become an S Corp, you're penalized if you sell within a 5-year window from the date of conversion. So you need to look at that sooner rather than later. There aren't that many C Corps around, but there are some. So, I think that's about all I would say about that, Pat.
Okay, good. So we've hit on category 1, decide where you want to go. We've covered category 2, assess where you are. Category 3 is design and implement a plan. So why don't you get us started there?
Okay. So, the first step in designing your plan is figuring out which exit route is going to be best for you. And we've had podcasts, specifically devoted to each type of transaction. And we've talked about how ESOPs are very specialized, but they offer some incredible tax savings opportunities. Sales to insiders and family members, you're usually going to give up some financial return. And you're probably going to get paid slowly over time. Sale to a third party is going to probably most likely be your highest dollar amount that you're going to get, and you're going to get it the fastest. So, the more flexibility you have in areas like how much you need, what position you're in, if you can receive the money slowly, those are going to impact your choice of the type of exit that you're going to have. So it's important to start talking about that, because a lot of things change depending on the answer to that question.
Yeah, and let me just insert a little commercial for us.
Yeah.
Work that we do right here. This past year, 2022, we work with clients we work with a client who's going to do a third-party sale to insiders, transfer to family, and an ESOP. So business owners come to us for this kind of help when they really don't know what exit route is going to be best for them. They may have, through the years, just been thinking one thing, like, I'm going to sell to a third party, or my kids are in the business, so I'm just going to transfer it to them, only to find out when they're ready to do that, that their kids don't want it, like we said earlier. So owners come to us because they really don't know which route is going to best accomplish their goal. We're agnostic as to which route. We just want to help you figure out which route is going to be best, and then help you to design and implement the plan for it. If you know you want to sell to a third party, absolutely sure of that, and you want to do it in the next 1 or 2 years, then find a business broker probably, or an investment banker, and start talking to them. You might find, though, that once you get into that process that I'm not sure I want to sell to a third party. but if you do, you want to do that, you want to sell to a third party, you're absolutely sure, you don't have any other options, and you want to do it in a year or two, then you're going to be best served contacting one of those professionals. If you're further away, 3, 5 years, 10 years away, and you're thinking you want to do that, come see us, because then we can help you make sure your business is you can maximize value, and when you go to the business broker or the investment banker.
Yeah.
What else, Walter? I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me interrupt there.
Sure. And I think what you just said was kind of my next point, is that you need to design your plan to grow the value of your company, because, ideally, no matter what, most situations, you're going to want to maximize your financial return, and everything you do to make your company stronger is going to make it easier for the for the buyer to run it. So if it's going to be family member or insiders, that's going to help guarantee the fact that you're going to get paid out. If it's a sale to a third party, they're going to evaluate your business, compare it to peers. The stronger your systems are and your financial performance are, the more value they're going to see in your business. Something else Pat kind of hit upon is it's a good opportunity as you start the process of trying to map out your succession. It's a good opportunity to kind of review your team of advisors. And you're really looking for two things. You're looking for holes in the team. And oftentimes we see, someone has started a business, they have a friend who's an attorney, and, setting up a business is pretty much any type of attorney can do that. It's no big deal. But once you get into estate planning, once you get into compensation planning, once you get into transactions, those are all highly specialized areas of law. So it's a mistake to just depend on your buddy to handle all that stuff. Now, hopefully, and we've seen this time and time again, the attorney will, he'll say, look, you need to hire a specialist, because, they want to do right by you and they don't want to screw something up. So it's important to start thinking about that. And, we can always give you referrals, or your CPA can give you a referral or whatever. So you're looking for holes in the team.
Yeah, that's true. And let's just make this clear. That's true. Not just, but you mentioned attorneys, and that's a great example, but that's true for each professional.
Yes.
CPAs, same thing. Yeah. Insurance professionals, that's another one.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, small business owners, you might have an insurance professional that does all of your property and casualty or commercial, and they've also sold you a little bit of life insurance along the way. Well, they may not have the level of expertise and advanced planning for insurance needs that come up in these kind of situations. So right. An experienced, specialized team of advisors is very important.
Very important. And if you're working, like, for instance, let's just go back to the lawyer example I gave you. If that lawyer is at a firm, they very well may have someone who specializes in the different areas you need. So that's a great way to start. Like, for instance, I got an email just this morning from our outsourced accounting group, and someone they work with who I've never met is looking to transfer a portion of his business to a key employee. So, the outsourced accounting people just referred him over to me. So, that's important. Analyze your team, figure out what you need, and start pulling it together. I'm trying to think, the other big, I think the other big thing is just,
the last thing I'm thinking about is someone's going to have to manage your exit planning project.
Good point.
Or strategic plan. And it's either going to be a current advisor who's willing to do it, who's trained to do it and is willing to do it, or an experienced exit planner, or you. It's kind of like if you were going to build a big building and you'd never been a general contractor before. Are you going to be the general contractor building the big building, managing the architects, the plumbers, the electricians, all the different specialists? Or are you going to ask your buddy John, the plumber, to do it, even though he doesn't do it, he doesn't want to do it, he wants to stay in his lane and do the plumbing? Or are you going to get a general contractor who can speak into each one of those areas of expertise and make sure that they're all coordinated and communicating together the way a general contractor would do or project manager would do for a large construction project. That's going to have to happen too on some level. So you'll have to make that decision. What Walter was saying about the growth, profitability, and strengthening value drivers, sometimes it seems when an owner has decided that they're going to transfer or sell the business to insiders or their kids, sometimes it just seems like they don't think they have to focus as much on the strength of the business going forward as if they were going to sell it for maximum value to a third party. Well, that's just not the case, because when you sell to insiders or sell or transfer to your kids, usually you're still going to want to get money out of the business, and it's going to have to continue to grow. And in order to pay you the money that they owe you, but in order to continue to operate and even grow. So those things that Walter mentioned are not just important for a third party sale, but they're just as important for internal transactions and an ESOP. Very, very important. So anything else then, Walter, that you can think of on design and implement?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, yeah, this is a good checklist. I mean, there's probably more things that we could, I'm sure there are, add to this list. But this, if you focus, listeners, on these things that we just gave you over the next 12 months, boy, you'd be off to the races. And of course, we're in business to help people who decide, yeah, I know I need to do this, but I need help doing it. I'm just not going to get it done on my own. Then come see us. So again, the categories: decide where you want to go, assess where you are, design and implement a plan. Those are the three categories of the process. So let's just, in closing, we again just want to strongly exhort you listeners to begin planning today for your inevitable. Either someone else is going to own your business eventually, or it's going to cease to exist. So planning for that, for it to be successful, it takes longer than you think. And so get started sooner rather than later. If you want help in executing this checklist or in any other category of planning, you can contact us through email at exitreadiness.com, or by phone. You can contact Walter at 301-951-9090 and me at 301-859-0860. And also this checklist that we just ran through, it's going to be on our blog at ennislp.com around this time. So you should be able to find it there too, and even print it out if you want to. If you go to exitreadiness.com for online resources and some planning, virtual planning options. If you establish an account there and buy any products there and use the coupon podcast, a coupon code podcast, you'll get a 10% discount on whatever you purchase. Okay, so listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. And until next time on the Exit Readiness podcast, this is Pat Ennis and Walter Dial signing off.